Number 10. Jade Harrison. On October the 7th of 2019, a young British woman suffered severe injuries after she was flung from a ride at the Hull Fair, one of Europe's largest and oldest traveling fun fairs. 21-year-old Jade Harrison was on the Air Max 360 ride when it started to bounce and tilt. She was flung from her seat like a rag doll and into the barrier. A teenage boy sustained minor injuries as Harrison struck him when she fell. Harrison was rushed to the hospital with broken teeth and a fractured jaw which required surgery. The woman was unable to smile as metal plates were inserted into her face. She also struggled to walk due to extensive bruising and nerve damage in her leg. Harrison would suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and had to undergo cognitive behavioral therapy as part of her recovery. The ride's operators admitted liability and paid for Harrison's treatment. More than a year from the accident, she still had trouble eating hard foods, experienced partial loss of feeling in her leg, and got jittery whenever she was in a moving vehicle or heard loud noises. Today's featured fan shoutout is Instagram follower Kaylee Wilson49. To appear in our next video, send us your pic rocking the latest merch from theywillkillyou.com and send it in to us on Instagram today. Number 9. Matt Landin. In 2014, teenager Matt Landin was on a ride called Skyfire at the Colorado State Fair alongside his sister, 22-year-old Tawny Martinez. The ride swung riders upside down and held them in that position for several seconds before dropping them. The first time that Landin became inverted, his shoulder harness snapped, forcing the teen to hang on for his life. Martinez, who was still strapped in, captured the incident on her phone. As the ride swung back down, Landin felt his shoulder pop, but fortunately suffered no further injuries. It would later be determined that he'd torn multiple shoulder muscles. The attraction's operators blamed a faulty latch and claimed they'd fix it, while Landin told a media outlet, "I'm not riding any ride ever." Number 8. Cool Patch Pumpkins Corn Maze. A number of fairs feature corn mazes, popular tourist attractions that have been cut out of cornfields in North America since the early 1980s. The Guinness Book of Records attributed the title of largest corn maze in 2014 to the one created by Cool Patch Pumpkins in Dixon, California. That year, the maze measured over 60 acres, with hundreds of dead ends. To put that tremendous size into perspective, it covers a surface area larger than the US Capitol or New York City's Grand Central Station. However, according to Matt Cooley, who was running the maze, it had potentially grown to dangerous proportions. There had been instances in the past of people passing out while looking for the exit, but none were reported in serious condition. However, the same year that the maze achieved world record status, a number of 911 calls had been placed by visitors in need of rescue. One reported being lost in the maze for 4 hours. Another was worried that they'd be left in the maze overnight, as the 10 p.m. closing time was approaching and they still hadn't found their way out. In light of these issues, Cool Patch Pumpkins decided to reduce the size of the maze in its future iterations. Number 7. CHIU-KIT. In September of 2017, a Hong Kong student was part of a group given early access to attractions that were going to be part of a Halloween-themed fair at Ocean Park. One of them was called Buried Alive and, according to the website, offered visitors to experience being buried alive alone before fighting their way out of their dark and eerie grave. At one point, those entering the haunted house attraction would go down slides in coffins. 21-year-old CHIU-KIT left the coffin and walked towards the exit. Unfortunately, one of the actors meant to guide him on the correct route was standing behind a curtain and didn't see him. Another actor had spotted CHEUNG going the wrong way, but mistook him for a staff member because he was wearing black. The student ended up at the bottom of another movable slide and was crushed by an incoming coffin. CHEUNG struggled to breathe as he was pinned under its weight and ultimately suffocated. He was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead, and the haunted house was closed, pending an investigation. Number 6. Unnamed carnival worker. In 2018, a carnival worker fell to his death while inspecting a ride at the Kiwanis Club Fair in Alexander City, Alabama. Only identified as a 45-year-old man originally from Belarus, the worker was asked to inspect a wheel situated at an estimated 30 feet on the Ring of Fire ride. The towering attraction turned riders upside down by hurling them around a central loop. It had a daily maintenance checklist that operators needed to go through before allowing fairgoers on it. However, the Ring of Fire wasn't the ride normally assigned to the Belarusian worker, so when the designated inspector arrived at the scene, he was asked to climb back down. It was at that moment that he slipped and plummeted to the ground. He sustained critical injuries from which he passed away soon after. The fair and the ride he'd been inspecting reportedly remained open in the aftermath of his demise. Number 5. Ride collapse in Shaoyang County. 16 people were hurt in February of 2021 following the collapse of a ride at a fair in Shaoyang County, central China. Those who'd queued up for the ride heard the malfunction alarm while the flying chairs were still swinging in the air. The ride gathered speed before suddenly tilting over. Viral footage circulating online showed the terrifying moment that the chairs got progressively closer to the ground before crashing into it. Most of those injured were bystanders, 3 of whom were taken to the hospital in critical condition. The incident would later be described as a mechanical glitch, even though the ride had been inspected and declared safe roughly a month prior. The fair was closed down and several of the ride's operators were detained for questioning by the authorities. Reactions condemning the incident and lack of proper safety regulation were plentiful on the country's Weibo social media site. Number 4. John Weed. In the fall of 2019, John Weed was one of the visitors at the Great Frederick Fair in Maryland. 59-year-old Weed was enjoying the fair's amenities when he was approached by 2 teenage brothers and their friends. They asked him for money, but Weed refused to give them any. The group kept badgering Weed while his family members pleaded with them to leave him alone. They appeared to walk away, but as Weed turned around, a 16-year-old boy punched him in the back of the head. As he turned around to face his attacker, the teen's younger brother, aged 15, ran at Weed and struck him in the head. The punch was delivered with such force that the man lost consciousness almost immediately. The second blow proved fatal as Weed passed away from massive head trauma. Prosecutors argued that the teen should be tried as adults, but after a lengthy hearing in February of 2020, the court determined that they were to remain in the juvenile system. Number 3. Missouri State Fair race car crashes. In August of 2012, the Missouri State Fair featured a charity race meant to raise money for the Special Olympics. The vehicles involved in the race were old police cars. Earlier in the evening, a 15-year-old driver whose name wasn't released lost control of his vehicle while going around a bend. His car overturned several times and the teen subsequently had to be airlifted to a local hospital. Then at around 9 p.m., 25-year-old off-duty officer Tyson Russell was also involved in an accident after the race car he was driving careered off track. It flew over a guardrail, through a safety fence and into spectators who'd gathered to watch the race. Russell wasn't hurt, but 5 people sustained various injuries, 2 of whom were in serious condition. The victims, aged from 27 to 67, were hospitalized. According to a Highway Patrol spokesperson, one of them sustained a broken leg that potentially required amputation. The police claim they wouldn't be investigating the crashes because they occurred during a private function. Today's topic was requested by Gen J71. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. He. On February the 15th of 2016, a young man died at a temple fair in China's Hebei province after getting crushed by machinery. The 19-year-old victim, identified as E by his surname, was on the pirate ship attraction at the fairgrounds. According to witnesses, E was very excited and stood up from his seat. Unfortunately, he lost his grip and fell forward. The teenager was crushed as his body was dragged under the mechanical workings of the ride. Staff pulled him out and paramedics tried to resuscitate him, but it was to no avail. He was pronounced dead at the scene. An investigation was launched to determine if alcohol or other substances had played a role in the teen's behavior on the pirate ship. A confirmation in that regard would partially place responsibility on the ride's operators for allowing E to be on it while intoxicated. Number 1. Gillingham Fair disaster. In the 1920s, every summer a fair was organized at Gillingham Park in Kent, England, with the aim of raising funds for a local hospital. The festivities would typically conclude with a demonstration by the Gillingham Fire Brigade. Considered the highlight of the fair, a 3-story house was built out of wooden canvas. A mock wedding was put together inside, in which 2 firefighters acting as bride and groom would entertain various guests. Then, a fire emergency was simulated with the use of smoke bombs and flares, requiring the building's occupants to be rescued from the upper levels. Once everyone was out, a real fire was started, enabling the fire brigade to demonstrate their skills. In July of 1929, however, as those inside were preparing to carry out the staged rescue, the real fire was lit. The cause of the confusion remains unknown. The blaze rapidly overtook the building, trapping people inside. The fire brigade knew right away that they were dealing with a real emergency, but the crowd mistook the screams and cries for help as acting. They cheered and applauded what they believed to be a realistic performance, accompanied by spectacular effects. It was only after they witnessed two people with burning clothes jumping from atop the building that the tragic reality was made clear. 13 people died at the scene and 2 more succumbed to their injuries at the very hospital for which the fair had been organized. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get lost in a giant maze or in a giant haunted house? Let us know in the comments section below.